we're 7,000 feet up in the mountains. So actually, if it hits up in the upper 90s, everybody freaks out because it's so hot.
Oh wow! Okay.
No, it's
All right.
actually very nice here. Yeah, yeah. We're like I say, we're way up in the mountains.
Oh, okay. All right. Good. All right. Welcome, folks. Tonight, this is FMA Discussion. This is episode 146, and tonight we have the pleasure of having Arlan Sanford, Salty Dog, one of the original Dog Brothers. And we're going to go over his journey and get into all this good stuff. Thank you, sir. Thank you for coming on. Appreciate it.
It's going to be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. This is like, I'm like thrilled. So, good. Kid in the candy store. So, I got a lot of good questions from people. And so, before we get into their questions and all that, obviously, we're going to get into your Thai and the Krabi Krabong and DBMA and all that. But what was your first FMA experience? What was it? Who, when, and where?
I, of course, being back in high school in the 60s and 70s and watching Kung Fu, we all thought that was just seriously cool. And one of the guys that was a year ahead of us had actually went and trained Kung Fu somewhere and came back. And we just thought that was the coolest shit ever. It was just like, holy crap. I mean, this is like living the dream. And I moved to Santa Fe years later. And I saw a flyer. It said Filipino stick and knife fighting. And I was like, ooh. I couldn't tell you why. I have no athletic background. I didn't do any kind of sports. I mean, I was a complete klutz. And I saw that thing said Filipino stick and knife fighting, and I went and applied. He had worked with a gentleman named Al McLucky and a little bit with the Inasano group and that kind of stuff. So we started there and started playing around with stuff. And basically, we watched videos. We went and trained seminars with anybody we possibly could. And we didn't really have a style. We just put everything together. And mostly sticks and JKD stuff. We did a lot of Wing Chun and that kind of stuff. And sorry, sawdust today. And then we went down and met Chai down in Texas, or way early on in the 80s, and started doing Thai boxing. So that was sort of our core experience at that time.
So, it sounds like you just got with a group of like-minded people and just kind of see what you can get and experiment and play around with it?
Yeah, I mean, there was several students, and Doug sort of had a background in the Inasano and through Al McLucky, which I don't even remember what his style was, but he was a very, very nice guy and, very good at what he did. And so we had pretty basic stick movements, a lot of Sinawali moves. We did a lot of Sinawali stuff and lots of drilling. I mean, just, kind of typical beginning of stick stuff, all your inside. Played around with that. Then we decided we'd spar, so we got tiny sticks, umpire's uniform, shin guards, hockey gloves, completely covered up. We just thought that was cool as hell.
Wow. So then from there, did you go deeper in the Asano blend or how did that work out?
At that time we were just we did a lot of video stuff, with Inasano, and basically that was, I suppose, sort of the our biggest thing at that time. Just kind of working with anybody that would show up. Basically, I went back and worked with what was Danny's student in Oklahoma, the one that died.
Oh yeah, unfortunately he died. Terry Gibbs.
Yeah. So I went back and worked with them for a while. Yeah, but we did a lot of traveling because they're just, Santa Fe, you're kind of out in the middle of nowhere.
Anyway. I was gonna say, California being the Mecca,
Yeah.
Yeah. So then, how about LeMaco? When did you get in LeMaco?
LeMaco came after I started doing Dog Brother stuff, or about the same time, because I hadn't run into Edgar before then. Mark had actually run into him first. Right, and I knew who he was because I'd met him before through the Pikiti Tertia, back when he was with that group, and then later when he started his own thing, I got to meet him and started working with him, which was maybe we'll get through the beginning of Dog Brothers, and then I'll go back to Edgar because Edgar was a huge influence.
I was just, yeah, definitely. So then, all right. So now, so at some point, then you mentioned you were traveling. Was it California? You were going there, the academy,
Your
or
speaker's coming a little weird there.
my speaker?
Yeah, you're coming through. I can't understand you.
Can you hear me better now?
No.
What's going on? Huh.
Like an echo.
Okay. Is that better now?
No, still.
That's strange. Okay, hold. I'm not sure why that's happening. Okay, hang tight. I'm going to do something. Okay. I'll be right there. Okay. Cancel. Is that better? Better? Okay, I can't hear you now, though. Never. What is going on? It's strange. Everything was fine. No, I don't know what's. You know what we could do? Try coming back in. I'm gonna X you out. Try coming back. Have you come back in? Okay. All right, folks. I'm gonna come back in. Technology. I freaking tell you. All right. If you're watching, please tell us where you're watching from. We got thanks for chat. Elric, I gotta get in touch with you for this month. I think it is his connection. Maestro Dan, hey, Collie Doug. It's for the birds. Hopefully he's coming back in. Okay. You can use same link. Here we go. Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay.
Good.
You can hear me well too?
I can.
All right. Sometimes I wish I could explain it. It's just like glitches, but all right, we got a bunch of people watching everything. Okay, so basically though, it sounds like you were traveling. So I'm guessing you were making trips to California pre-Dog Brothers?
Yeah. Just several times. Guy with the yeah, just kind of wherever we have a step probably close to 5 or 6 years.
Okay. Got it. Wonderful. Yeah, folks, it's definitely his connection. I'm not sure what I'm going to be able to do about that. Let's see, here's my Flores. Here we go. Let's try it. Try it again. Let me see. So it's you come out right, then your voice will kind of taper off. I'm just wondering, is the connection pretty good there? You got?
I think so, but we'll find out.
Okay. I mean, right now it's good. So
Yeah,
right.
no, you disappeared there for a few minutes, so I got back on.
Okay. So all right. So then all right. So you're making your trips to California and all that, and you're just watching videos and all that, trying to do what you can with what you got access to. When did you start training DeRobio pre Dog Brothers or after?
Kind of about the same time. What had happened was we'd gone out to a tournament out in California, one of the week half tournaments they used to have back in God, I'm trying to remember, '86 or '88, somewhere in there. And Eric was in there, and I'd heard about Eric for years. This sort of rogue fighter that just went anywhere and fought anybody, anytime. And so we go to this tournament, and Eric walks in, and he looks like a school teacher. He's this tall, gangly, bald guy. And I'm going, that can't be Eric Knaus. Jeez. And he and Mark were there to film and interview some of the old masters. And so Eric and I ended up fighting in the Open, and he asked if I wanted to get together at some point after that. And so I went out. That was in August or September. I went out in January and spent a week, and I'll get back to that story in a little bit because that's a lot of fun. But then basically, once I got started, even sort of pre-Dog Brothers, I was looking for things to add because I could tell, I just needed more in my arsenal on things. So not long after that, I started doing the DeRobio and working that stuff in. So, but yeah, we had he had invited me out in January, and I spent a week out there. So I took the train out, and I get off the train, and we get in the car, and I think we go to a job site or something and work for a while. Then we go to the park, and he pulls out his camera and his bags, and I'm like, I wonder what we're going to do. And he says, well, let me see your sticks. So I pull my sticks out, and I show him my best sticks, and he looks at them, and he's like, oh, these are so cool. These are perfect. And he walks over and he puts one on the ground on one side and one on the ground on the other. And he goes, okay, that's the camera range. Don't step over them. We'll be out of camera. And then he hands me these big ass sticks, and we fought. I'm like, holy crap.
Wow. Now, when you say the big ones, and I just one more. I want to just back up to Robio, but before we do that, when you say the big ones, were they generally like what, 2 inches in diameter or something?
At this time, what I considered a big stick, what I was using was a little 28-inch stick that was about 3/4 of an inch around, because everybody was real into how fast can I move the stick. You weren't hitting anybody, so it didn't really matter. And you sort of had this thing if you moved really fast and hit them a bunch, and so I had these little tiny 28-inch sticks that were probably 5/8, 3/4 around. I was just like fast. I was like lightning with those things. The ones Eric's had were a little longer, and they were probably closer to an inch around. It's kind of a standard stick, but to me, it just seemed huge at the time. So.
It's so funny because Burton had a similar story. I guess when the after hours of the class, when they would meet there. So Burton was invited, I think, by Mark. And so Eric goes up to Burton. He goes, hey, do you mind if we use these? And Burton, just like you said, he goes, they were freaking like the biggest sticks he had seen. They were like, so Burton's now, this even gets better. So Burton goes, okay, so I'm thinking like he's not going to go hard because we're using these really big, thick sticks. And he goes, He goes, first shot. He goes, he lowers down, and I swear to God, he was trying to take my leg off. And he's like, what is wrong? He's thinking like he's telling me the story now, and he goes, what is wrong with this guy? He's just like,
yep.
So, now with I have a question here from Alvin. As far as the Robio and your experience with it, have you incorporated anything back then or present day as far as your strategy for sparring?
Oh yeah, I mean absolutely. Derobio, because it's such a passing sort of deflecting game. You know, the locks and the disarms, I didn't really have much luck applying those in the fighting, but the concepts of the passing as opposed to blocking, man, that became, I mean, a couple of my favorite moves were based on straight up Derobio drills that we did, and I just took the drill and put them right into the stick fighting, and yeah, it was great. Very seldom do I have something that you don't have to tweak to kind of transfer from drill to fight. And several of the drills I did in Derobio were direct shot right into application, right from drill to application without any sort of tweaking.
Yeah, that's not common. So what so do you attribute this to GM Dan Medina?
Yeah.
Oh, so you spent some time. All right, then you spent quite a bit of time with him.
Oh yeah, I went down. I drove 60 miles like 3-4 times a week for years.
Oh wow.
Yeah. He was in Albuquerque. He was stationed in Albuquerque. So yeah, we had a lot of fun.
No, he seems like generally a good guy. I've had him on here. Just seems like a genuine good guy.
Yeah, I loved working with him. He got me set up to go to Hawaii to meet Grandmaster Padoy, and so yeah, it was pretty cool. And like I say, the stuff I took from that, you know, some of it I couldn't make work, like a lot of the locks and disarms, because in the Dog Brothers stuff, it was just a little hard to sort of get into that controlling position.
To slow him down.
Yeah, but as far as actually taking, I mean, basically, I took the pass off the number 2 strike, and that was my favorite knee shot, and it was just straight out of Derobio, and I love that shot.
So I just want to make sure I'm noticing. Can I touch on culture and why do people think? Here, all right, we're kind of on sparring. Before we get in there, here's a question from Elric, and his question is: can you touch on the culture of FMA? What did people think about sparring in general? And what did his circle think about what they were getting into with Dog Brother sparring? That's his question.
You know, it was interesting because everybody liked to spar, but a lot of the tournaments and even a lot of the sparring, there was just huge amounts of equipment. When I did that week half tournament, we wore a canvas coat that was filled with little pieces of rubber, huge hockey gloves, the old FMA helmets we used to have, and we used little tiny sticks. Couldn't kick, couldn't punch, couldn't grapple, couldn't grab, and basically they were scoring it on who got hit the most.
Yeah, okay.
You know, and a lot of people I think sparred that way. You know, at the time, I remember when I first started sticks, everybody was like, "Oh man, you can't get hit with the stick; it'll kill you. It'll break your leg, and you know your arms will be broken, your hands will be broken, you get your head cracked open." And so I think a lot of people had that in the back of their minds, so they sort of overwent to. I mean, I remember fighting in full umpire gear and you know plastic elbow pads and knee pads and shin guards and you know, much stuff. You walked around like this because you couldn't move.
RoboCop.
And so when I ran into Eric and we started going with little or no gear, a lot of the people I knew that were involved in FMA were like, you know, you can't do that. You're going to get killed. You can't do that. Or it didn't really represent FMA. It was just sort of, you know, people going crazy out there with a stick. And so you kind of got both ways. You know, number one, you're going to get hurt, or number two, you're not really doing FMA if you're fighting that hard without the gear and stuff because you're not showing any technique. You're just, you know, do it without them. If you hadn't done it, you didn't realize the same technique they were doing there in the drills that was very refined showed up in the stick fight, but it showed up as fighting uh, whatever you want to call it, techniques, whatever. So it didn't look the same, even though I did the things I learned in the drills in the fighting. It just didn't end up looking like what we did in the drills, which I think was that's a hard thing to get across to people. You watch the stick fights and you think, oh, that's just a bunch of guys swinging wild sticks. No, that was everything I learned in the drills.
Yeah, that you were applying. Right,
Yeah.
right. So then, all right. So we touched on the dog buzz. So you met Eric, and then you go out to see him, but this time the dog brothers wasn't formed yet. It's just you guys getting
They
together.
actually, we went out, and Eric just liked to fight. So anytime he got a chance to fight with anybody, Philip Jelinas had been out and fought, and he had another guy he worked with off and on. And, all he wanted to do was fight. All Eric wanted to do was fight anybody, anywhere, anytime. And you got to admit, it's kind of hard to get anybody. He came up to me at the tournament and he goes, "Have you ever thought about fighting without gear?" And I'm like, "Ooh." And so we get out there and we fought every night for hours. The first couple of nights, Eric used to have these huge helmets, and basically you could take a shot from a baseball bat. He had made them out of grading mesh for gravel, and I mean, you could take a baseball bat and hit them, and they wouldn't bother you. And so we were sparring with those and kind of playing around and get used to everything. And then he comes about the third night I'm there. He goes, "Follow me." We go back in the back room, and he rummages around in the closet, and he pulls down these little tiny fencing masks. Nothing like the ones you have now. These are dinky. They fit inside the new ones. And he goes, "You want to try these?" So we head over to the tennis court. We fought in the tennis court over by his house. And first thing he did was just knock me out. And so I roll back. I'm laying on the ground. Eric comes running over, and I thought, when you get knocked out with a stick, it's kind of weird because it's not like you black out. It's just like your body goes, "That's it. I quit for a while." And in your mind still, you're kind of going, anyway, Eric comes running over, and I think, "Oh, what a nice guy. He's going to come over and check on me." And he comes over and he goes, "What's it feel like? I've never been hit. I've never been knocked out with a stick. What's it feel like?"
Oh my freaking God! So I'm asking you, how you doing? Hey, could you give me the feedback on how that?
So we fought for probably another half hour. We got there. We'd fight for 3-4 hours. We fought for probably another half hour. Eric used to do this move where he'd come in, squat down, and he'd do a backhand to your shin. He'd get down really low for being 6'4", 6'5", whatever. He could get down. It'd be like his knees were on the side of his head, and he'd crack that stick across your shin. So he came in, did that move, broke his stick on my shin, and I clunked him right on top of the head. He goes flying back and hits the ground, and he pushes himself up on the ground. He points at me and he goes, "I see what you mean."
Wow. So I think I remember him telling that story with Eric Paulson. I think.
Yeah.
And I think he was describing you because of your I mean, I'm guessing like you were really weightlifting a lot. And he said he said he had to be talking about you, and he said like he hit your leg and the stick just went there, and he said for a while he was kind of looking at his stick, and then all of a sudden.
Yeah, that was it.
Wow.
One of my fond memories.
Yeah. So then, so when you say those skinny those fencing, were they construed as like the first generation kind of fencing mask?
Yeah, like the new ones. I actually posted a picture last year or so where I took my old mask and put it inside the new mask, and it fit completely inside the new mask. And when you put those old ones on, they actually touched your face. The new ones are out kind of a little ways from your face.
Yeah. Right.
These actually touched your face. There was a little thing, so it kind of kept out, where it bowed out in front of your nose and your stuff. But I got hit a couple times, and I've got mesh marks from the mesh, and it would be sitting here against your cheekbones, and,
and you're peeling it off your face.
Yeah, I mean, we didn't think about it at the time. It was all we had, and then we started seeing the bigger ones, and it's like, God, those are like, safety man.
So then, all right. So you're meeting him. So at what point, I guess, because I knew from my talking to him one time and hearing from others, like he was really trying to find out, can you block a power shot? And I guess it was in the beginning was somewhat experimental. He was trying to find answers, like, or you got
Yeah,
all you guys were.
pretty much everything Eric did was trying to find out how far you could push, and and the nice thing was we started kind of pushing each other because he was in California and I was in Santa Fe, and we'd get together and fight, and then we'd go back and he'd work on one thing and I'd work on another, but we had a completely different background. So I worked lots of power. I mean, that was my big thing, because I didn't move the stick very well, but I could hit hard, and um, so I would train for power, and then Eric just he was just so smooth and so slick on everything, and then but we gradually got to go into bigger and bigger sticks. We finally ended up fighting with these huge freaking sticks, and it was like, yeah, maybe we need to back off a little bit here.
Oh, they were just so. So, what point then did like you guys collectively say, hey, let's form Dog Brothers? I mean, how'd that come about?
I think Mark sort of had a plan along that line from early on. And after that first week that I'd met with Eric, the next time we kind of got together was, I think Mark calls it the Rumble at Rambless or something like that. But he got burnt, and Philip Jelinas came down, and I think there's 7, 8, 9 people that ended up showing up. Some of the people from the Inosanto Academy, and we just basically started the beginning of Dog Brothers. That was the day Dog Brothers started. We all kind of, Mark had seen some Conan comic book or something. Where Conan's yelling, "Come on, you Dog Brothers," or whatever. And,
Oh, okay.
so Mark just kind of came up with it there, but I think it was in the back of his head before that. So after that Rumble at Rambless, that was it got a little more official and organized, and we started getting get-togethers planned, and sort of having an organization, pretty loose, but
Wow. So okay. So then you guys would kind of get together when you can. Obviously, you guys live in different parts.
yeah. What we ended up doing was I'd go back and spend a week, and Eric and I'd fight, outside of gathering sort of thing, and he'd come out to Santa Fe, but then Mark would set up the things in the park and invite anybody and everybody, and it would be more of an event. He'd invite people instead of just a couple of us fighting. It would be sort of a big event thing, and so that's what turned into the gatherings. We didn't really call them gatherings in the beginning, but, and then part of it was yeah.
All right, so people that might not maybe kind of been affiliated with it, Dog Brothers, but they wanted to come there and test their skills, and they would. Is that kind of?
Yeah, absolutely. At that time, there wasn't really a Dog Brothers per se. It was, we sort of were, but there wasn't enough of us to count for much anything at that time. There was basically Philip Jelinas, me, Mark, maybe 2 or 3 other people. So we were trying to get more people to come in and see what we were doing. And then Eric just wanted to fight, different styles. Guys had come in, and we get kendo guys, we'd get karate guys, whatever, and just to see what happened.
But you two went at it, man, huh? I mean, like you guys.
Some of the early gatherings were basically me and Eric.
Yeah, and Arlan and Eric. And Eric and Arlan.
There were some other guys. God, I can't remember Mark. Not Mark Denny. There's another Mark Lawson. Anyway, there was a couple other guys that show up fairly regularly, and but yeah, we'd spend all day with just like 2, 3, 4 of us going around fighting all day long, and all the surfers would be watching. They'd be doing the thumbs up, thumbs down stuff. And
yeah, depending on what they were right. So. Well, so even though, again, you weren't really coined that, I guess at what point did you guys where you actually, I guess, made it not only just a group, but names, but also, I guess, a system, I guess.
Yeah, a lot of that, and I'm not sure how it is anymore, but at the time we had Dog Brothers Fighting, and then Mark had Dog Brothers Martial Arts. They were very separate deals. Mark took things from Dog Brothers, and he turned. They were 2 separate entities, although I'm not sure they're that much anymore. But at the time, we really kept them kind of separate. There was Mark doing the Dog Brothers Martial Arts, And then we had the Dog Brothers, which was just anybody that wanted to get together and
Just
fight.
you guys getting together and just.
Yeah, you didn't have to be part of Dog Brothers martial arts to come to a Dog Brothers fight.
Mhm.
At least not at that time.
Right. So then as a couple years go by, I'm guessing the gatherings were getting bigger and.
Absolutely. Yeah, we started getting more people, and things started changing a little bit. You get people to show up. Tonfa and fought a guy with kendo one time, and just people showed up, kind of different styles showed up. Remember the guy that did Tapato came with a long staff, and we started sort of attracting other people that decided maybe they wanted to kind of try out and see how their stuff did against the guys that were doing full contact.
So now, at that time also, was your core group getting bigger? I mean, like.
Yeah. At that time, we started doing the Dog Brother. The idea, I mean, there wasn't the levels like they do now in the Dog Brothers of martial arts. Basically, you were a Dog Brother or you weren't. But yeah, I mean, every time we'd have a gathering, there would be a couple of guys sort of get initiated into the group, and yeah, it was growing pretty good there, especially early on. It was kind of fun watching it because nobody had a clue what to expect when they got in there.
Yeah, I can imagine. I mean, and this is kind of like what, early 90s or thereabouts?
Your sound's doing weird stuff again.
Oh, no. Was it early 90s?
Still a little weird.
Still?
Like an echo.
All right, let me.
Oh, there you go.
Okay.
You're back.
All right, so like what, early 90s thereabout?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Right.
I met Eric and Mark in '88, and I think sort of the beginning of Dog Brothers would have been '89, '90, and then things really took off in the early '90s.
Yeah.
Started getting people, crowds showing up, and
crowds and like people in the bleachers and
yeah.
God, like the Roman Coliseum.
Yeah.
Jeez. So like how many, like for you, like how many times did you fight like back then, like at a gathering, like a few times or?
Oh, we were sitting down, Eric and I were talking one time, and we would get in a gathering, depending on what was what, you'd fight 4, 5, 6, 8 times a day. And then we'd get together in Santa Fe and we'd fight 3 days in a row. And we wouldn't just do one day. We'd fight Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. I remember Eric having 20 some fights over the weekend. And we did that 3, 4, 5 times a year. So I would say on an average year, you could end up with anywhere between 50, 60, 70 fights.
And they were, generally speaking, were they 2 minutes long?
Early on, we just went till somebody gave up, and then we finally started doing timed fights because it made it easier as more people. When you just got a couple, it didn't matter. Okay. Yeah, when you got more people, it was easier to do timing on them, and so that was. But yeah, we used to. God, we'd get together 3, 4, 5 times a year and just beat the crap out of each other.
And I can't remember. So now, what was your weapon like? So were you primarily like a single stick guy?
Early on, pretty much everybody was. We'd get some guys with Tonfa, and I think we had some taped up sides and logging chains and staff, just some playing around stuff. But the main thing I think was just single stick, and then as I started doing more. I realized I really liked the double. I love fighting double stick. And of course, this was before Krabi Krabong, but I think the majority of us were just pretty much straight up single stick.
So what made you go double? What made you the affinity for double stick?
I have no idea, but I've always, the minute I started getting better at double, it was like, oh yeah, this is how I'm going to fight.
Really? Oh, and you would find people in the gatherings that would also do double.
Yeah, Eric liked double. Eric was excellent at double because he would switch hands in the middle of the fight from left to right, and you couldn't tell. So when he did double, he was equally adept at either hand. So that made his double sticks pretty incredible.
Man, you guys must have had some freaking wow.
Oh, it was so much fun.
Yeah, jeez, I know it sounded wow. So all right, so you're going along, you're doing this, and then you kind of what led to Krabi Krabong? I mean, like,
Well, at the time, Mark had started doing jujitsu without telling anybody, and so
just,
usually when Mark and I fought, it was um, he did okay. I mean, I'm not saying he did bad or anything, but it wasn't fear inspiring or anything. But he came in, took a shot coming in, got my back and choked me out, and I'm like, what the shit? And so we broke and we went again, and he came in, got my back, choked me out, and everybody was like, whoa, what the hell are you doing? Because we'd done the Fang before. The Fang had been from way back. But nobody had seen anything like the jiu-jitsu. I mean, at that time, the Gracies were just at the very beginning. This was well before
you're
any
going
of
early
the
90s,
UFC stuff
right?
and any of that.
Yeah.
And so, of course, immediately I go back to Santa Fe, and everybody else stays in California and starts grappling. And I'm like, God dang it.
Yeah. Here you are missing out, like, on the new
Uh,
thing. And
in the meantime, I'd been doing a lot of Muay Thai, and I just never could quite figure out how to. I knew the knees and the elbows and the kicks. When I did the FMA, I'd been kind of told you can't really kick, and I finally got hooked up in the Krabi Krabong, and it was like, oh yeah, if you do Krabi Krabong well, you can kind of control people grappling. So that was my game. After that was they wanted to grapple, I wouldn't let them come in.
would you post their shoulder? Like, what would you do?
It just whether it was the hits or the kicks or when they got in close, you do
Keeping them off. Okay.
yeah, just not letting them really. And at that time, there wasn't a lot of entrances with the stick. Basically you just ran in and hope you didn't get hit and grab the guy and then did your jujitsu. Nobody had really developed any kind of interests yet, and so it was fairly easy to kind of control, and then of course I hit really hard. So.
Wow. Ooh.
Um,
Jeez. So
but that kind of led to the Krabi Krabong, and then after that, my whole fighting thing just started changing over to pretty much just straight up Krabi Krabong with a few other things thrown in on it.
Oh, so you actually did. So you actually, I mean, that was your main style. Then it became.
Yeah.
Okay.
After I trained with a guy named Jason Webster, and it was an excellent Muay Thai. He had trained Muay Thai in Thailand, and just out of all the people I've ever had kick me over the years with the Muay Thai kick, nobody, I don't care how big or small they were, ever kicked me like Jason did. That guy just rattle your brains, and so he had experience in fighting, even though he hadn't done the stick fighting. So we were able to sort of take the Krabi Krabong stuff, because at the time, Krabi Krabong kind of had a reputation as a show martial art, not as application. I don't know how you'd say it, but because they did a lot of shows and demos and things, it sort of got a reputation as a show art. And so when I started taking some of the stuff from it and putting it into the Dog Brothers and showing everybody how it kind of worked, that was really a neat thing.
Wow. And then so now, was that like some of it was off lead structures? Was that?
What's that?
Is off lead structures? Is some of that?
Like, yeah, the idea being that Krabi Krabong is actually a short weapon in close fighting style, and I don't know quite how to explain it, but say you're face to face with somebody, and you're in a right lead. If I put my hand on your chest and I'm in a right lead and I'm that close and I'm trying to hit you, I don't have any leverage. But if I change leads to a left lead, nothing changes on my upper body, but now I can beat the crap out of you because of your body mechanics. So the whole idea was you want to be in the lead that's applicable to the situation that you're in. And I use left lead at long range, and I use left lead when I'm very close.
Wow. Folks, I'm going to show this video with Arlan here, and check out these kicks, man. That just... And we'll get into the double-edged sword here next after this video. Yeah, and all of a sudden. Oh yeah. So let's go over that. So like you were like we were talking about this tentatively during the test run, but I mean, you actually, yeah, obviously you did really well with this, but so you would put them in kind of a double jeopardy situation, right? Like either you're gumming with a caveman, or they're going
Yes.
to take the kick, right?
Yeah, yeah. Basically, you're given a choice. You're either going to get hit with the stick or you're going to get kicked. And of course, at that time, nobody expected the kick, so everybody would really reach up. I mean, you almost be like you were feeding a strike intentionally, kind of slow and high, so that they would reach up to block. And as soon as they did, you'd kick them right in the armpit.
Oh, because they're gonna go on their roof and they're gonna be exposing their whole lats and everything. Okay.
It worked every time for years. I started catching on, but until people got used to kicks in a stick fight, nobody expected them. I mean, it was just you just didn't kick in a stick fight. So after we got back from Thailand and my students and I started kicking, we had a lot of fun there for a while.
Yeah. Until they caught on, whatever.
Yeah. People started figured it out a little bit, but there was nothing more fun than a good kick in the armpit.
Oh my God. So now on the flip side, and I'm just thinking out loud here, I'm not saying I know the answer to this, but if they were kicking at you, could you at your rib section or there, could you put the stick there like a wing block and have them run to the stick? Is that viable?
Because we always spent time kicking each other, the main thing you worked on was evasion, and the other was just being tighter on your blocks and on your movement, because you knew if you got wide, you were going to take a kick. And I think you just learn how to deal with the kicks through practice more than anything else. I mean, I don't think I ever blocked a kick with the stick.
I kick coming in.
Grab the leg occasionally, but usually it was just evasion.
Just you're stepping back, or right, and keeping everything tighter where you're not leaving. Yeah. No, understood. Wow. So then, so that actually became officially incorporated into the not only are you guys fighting, but did other people follow suit with you? Other dog brothers trying to use it?
Some did. Some took to. I had several students that loved kicking. Other people just, because you kind of got to have a. I don't know how to explain it. You got to be close enough to kick them, and a lot of people don't like to fight in that range. And when I train my students, we like to. We actually did a lot of fighting in a 12-foot square garage. So we'd do full contact fighting inside a 12-foot square garage where you couldn't get away. So we were used to kind of being at that range when you're kind of right in each other.
Yeah, that's like a box, right? You can't, right?
Yeah, and it made a difference, because when you went out and fought people at the gathering, and a lot of them had trained either in big gyms or out at the parks and stuff, they had a very different sense of range. And we just get right. We'd just basically just sit there and hunt you down, go forward, and just keep pressure.
Oh, pressure! You guys
moving. A lot of people would have a lot of side to side movement. Well, we didn't train that way because we didn't really have the space to do that. So we were basically, you just go forward, and just keep pressure on all the time. But that's how you get the kicks in, because you can't kick from 5 feet out. You can kick from about 2 feet out.
Right. So you're just pressure, strikes,
absolutely.
And then throw the kick, and when he almost half beat oriented, like. Huh?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Wow. Man, that's fascinating. So then, but Mark also incorporated into the actual DBA martial arts, right? Did he?
Yeah, a version of it, yes.
Oh, a version. Okay, so now okay. So when you guys collectively got together to do a seminar or whatever, I mean, you would teach it, I'm guessing?
I didn't really do much seminars. If I did anything, I did a couple, but mostly I just did private stuff and similar things. But I just didn't end up doing that much in the way of seminar stuff.
Wow. So okay, we got some questions here from on the Krabi. What did how did it besides it, what one question is from somebody here is, what did you find so fascinating about Krabi Krabong that made you want to, and put in your style and all that, and all that?
For years, as I'd been fighting, I sort of had a way I like to fight. I like pressure. I like the double stick. I liked kind of fighting in close. And the minute I saw Krabi Krabong, that is Krabi Krabong right there. It was like I'd already been doing my own personal version before I saw the real stuff. And then, I mean, it just clicked. It was everything that I had in my mind as a system. And, it was like, ooh, I'm in heaven.
Yeah. Jeez. So then, how did so did it change? And the next question here regarding it, how did it change your fighting from the early days to, I guess, to now? I mean, you kind of alluded to, you basically fully incorporated Krabi Krabong, right?
Yeah, it didn't really change it so much as it just kind of refined it. Does that kind of make sense? I'd
Sure,
headed
yeah.
down a path, and then finding Cabri Cabrong just took me down that same path. And
Mm.
yeah, it was everything that I thought fighting should be put into the system and taught. And I mean, from the minute I saw it, it was like, yeah, that's the stuff.
This is it. This is it.
Yeah.
So his next question from Chad: how do you blend the two? But it doesn't sound like you do. You? I mean,
Yeah, I mean, there's still stuff I do. I do a lot of stuff from Derobio when I fight. And, I still do things that I learned back when I first did it. It's just sort of, you just sort of develop your personal expression of everything that you've learned over the years. And hang on a second, Angel, could you bring my charger? My phone's about to go down. Sorry, my phone's about to go down. Sorry.
okay, yeah, that's fine. And his next question: will you be making? And I hope I pronounced this correctly. My SWAT socks.
Oh, my socks.
My
Uh,
socks.
yeah, the shop I worked at burned down here a couple years ago, and we were all set up to make them. But one of these days, when I get around to it again, I'd love to, because my socks are, God, we talk about you put on something that you feel invincible in, and my socks is one of them. Hang on a second here.
Sure.
Oh, I don't want to cut out in the middle of the.
Yeah. You're like, where'd it go?
Oh, I don't know if I can plug it into here. Hold on. I'll get organized.
Well, no worries. Questions. Yeah, they look at Jeremy. Over there.
Just plug into over there.
Yeah. Oh, okay, I gotta get that question.
I'll be right back. Sorry, I didn't mean to mess up your little deal.
Oh, no problem. No problem. Hmm. Uh-oh. I'm about to get back in. Hang on, guys. All right, Elric. Size of your fighters. Size. All right, guys, he'll be back. He was just charging, or getting the charger, I should say. So, we'll have him come back in. Definitely going to be some editing tonight. Okay. Just make sure he's doing that. Oh, and here he is. All right. All right. He's got full battery charge. Oh, no worries. No worries. Okay. All right. So, okay. So, yeah, he was wondering if you were to be making any or whatever. Any events coming where you'll be teaching it?
You know, we've started sort of the North American Krabi Krabong Association, and so what we're doing is once a year we just get all the instructors in Krabi Krabong. This year we did it sort of virtually, and so I did like 3 different things virtually, and each of the guys did 3 or 4 different versions of different weapons, and depending on what you wanted to work on and stuff. Um, so yeah, we're working on kind of seeing if we can expand that.
Yeah, you should. I mean, I bet you if you advertise, I bet you get a bunch of people. Even if you had to do a virtual, unfortunately, I bet you get a bunch of people that would want to take it. You know, just
Yeah,
to see that.
I think we're going to be, now that we're kind of getting out of all this COVID stuff. I think we'll get back on track again. But yeah, we had some of the instructors in Thailand do a virtual thing, and Jason and myself and Steve Wilson and some other people did. I did my socks and Shield and
Got some internet stuff going on. He'll be back. And we'll get into here he is. Okay.
virtual stuff. But the year before we had groups of people doing things with us. We had a bunch of people come in. So I think we're really going to try to expand that and then start advertising for each of us to go out and do some seminars and do some teaching.
I would say I bet you I bet you the community would love to see that and do that. You know, when you okay, so obviously, here's a question from somebody kind of regarding sparring. What do you recommend for progression to full contact fighting?
It's kind of where you want to take it. I had a couple of guys come in that wanted to do dog brothers, so their first lesson was we went out in the backyard and fought.
Yeah, I mean, is this what you want to do? Or yeah.
Yeah, but usually, like with my students, we start and we go through the drills, and I do a lot of I call it flow sparring, but basically it's just counter, feed counter, feed counter, feed counter, and then we just sort of start upping the intensity on it. So it's not a fixed set of strikes, but it's sort of controlled. And then when we get to actual sparring, we'll use something like the little plastic T-ball bats or something, and that's a great way because they sting and they hurt and they let you know you got hit. But you're not, people that are afraid of sticks can kind of get into that. And then you just start smaller sticks and work your way up to the point where you're as comfortable as you want to go.
Yeah, right. I mean, right. And then they can find out if it's something, right. And then Elric's question was, what were the size of the fighters during your time?
The size?
Correct. Yeah.
Well, Eric was about 6'6". At the time, I probably ran about 200 pounds. Occasionally get up to about 215. All the way down. Then we had some people that were actually fairly small. There wasn't any real set thing. It was just anybody doing martial arts. I remember there was a couple guys that were tall and skinny, and a few others that I'd say probably in the 150, 160 range. And there was a pretty broad cross section of just anybody that wanted to try it.
So it sounds like maybe you and Eric were like on the bigger side as far as the rest of them.
Yeah, there were a few other guys that showed up. There was a Dogzilla, Mike Tibbetts. He was pretty big, and then God dang it, I can't remember. Ed Solomon. He may not know it, but I was scared shitless of him. He was big and mean, and the funniest guy you'd ever want to be around.
Ed Sullivan.
Ed Solomon, yeah, hot dog. Early
Okay.
days, early days.
Oh, so he's a big guy? Yeah.
Yeah, he was a big guy. Just jovial and funny and all that. But when he fought, he'd joke around fighting and stuff, but you did not want to get hit by him.
Yeah, huh? Oof. Jeez, just a big right. Um, what is okay? So we got our next. Give me get my questions in here. So now, when you teach, do you teach them? Um, I mean, do you teach them separately? Like, I mean, do you teach FMA separately from Krabi Krabong, or is it
I,
depending
I
on with the
teach
student?
stick fighting separately from Krabi Krabong. Yeah,
Okay.
I'll teach Krabi Krabong sort of traditionally with the traditional drills and the way I was taught, and then I'll kind of throw some of the things like some of the kick drills and stuff that I got to work. But basically, I'll have a Krabi Krabong class, and then I'll have a stick fighting class. And the stick fighting class is, it's the Durobio stuff. It's we go through all the basic blocks to start, and then we work timing and distance and range. Um,
Mm.
I don't tend to do a lot of drills so much as I do. We'll do timing, we'll do ranges, we'll do closing, and then, like I say, I like to do a lot of flow sparring where you just go back and forth, feed counter, feed counter, feed counter, and change weapons and pick up the intensity. So eventually, it kind of turns in almost to sparring when after you start bumping it up a little bit.
Right. Okay. Okay. And then, I know what weight, what size and weight sticks did you use?
By the time I got done, I was using a 36 to a 38-inch long stick, probably inch and a quarter around.
Inch and a quarter round.
Yeah, and I held it up more like the Krabi Krabong, so you didn't hold it on the ends. You'd hold up about 10 or 11 inches into the stick.
Oh, okay, right. Okay, see,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
And so
And I've actually been playing with 42-inch sticks now.
42,
Yeah.
and if you're holding those like 8 inches up, I
Oh,
mean
there's
that's
your
still 34 inches coming at you. Wow.
yeah.
As far
You're
as
not coming through again.
how about now?
Nope, not yet.
What is going on tonight? Um, nothing.
Yeah, you're still. It's like you're in an echo chamber.
Huh, that's strange. Um, seeing the audience. I can come back. Let me just see here. What is the deal? Okay, hang tight.
There you are. Now you're back.
Oh, okay. Yeah, it could be. I don't know. All right. Uh, yeah, technology. But also, we got another question here. So, when you, as far as recommendations on your, fitness and training, I mean, what do you recommend, like for fighting? It's a question from Ryan.
When I was really doing a lot of fighting, I did a lot of bag work. I'd do, I'd hit the bag 2, 3, 4,000 times, 3 or 4 times a week. And then I'd throw the tire. I don't know if you're familiar with throwing the tire, but you take a car tire, you throw it, you run
Hmm.
after it, you pick it up, you throw it, and you run after it, and it sort of works the obliques and stuff, for the kicking and the stick strike because it works the muscles that twist your body. And then later, I got into sort of doing the CrossFit strongman stuff, and I wished I'd found that early on, or more early in my stick fighting stuff, because uh, I loved it, and it had all the attributes I wanted to put into my martial arts stuff.
Oh wow, that's interesting. Wow. So then, what do you try and instill in your students when you're teaching them? I mean, based on like whether they want to be fight. I guess those who want to be fighters and those who maybe they want the information, but maybe they don't have intentions to go.
Yeah,
Something.
and a lot of people, not everybody wants to fight, and that's kind of why I divided. But even in my classes that I teach stick fighting, I don't expect anybody to. I don't force anybody to fight. We'll spar with
Hmm.
plastic bats and stuff. And I've taught lots of people that, I taught them stick fighting, but they never actually stick fought. Um,
Yeah.
and I think it's just finding a point where you're learning something, having a good time, and pushing yourself. I want to see everybody. One of the things Eric Knaus used to talk about was um, when he fought somebody, he didn't beat the crap out of them. He fought them just enough that when they left, that in their mind they'd be going, if I trained for another 6 months, I bet I could take him.
Oh, so he would leave like a margin there.
Yeah. He never really just beat somebody senseless where they were like, oh, I can't do this. No matter who it was, if they'd never stick fought before. I've seen him so many times with people that never even picked up a stick that just wanted to try it. And he'd go out and they'd be done and they'd be going, oh man, that hurt, but that was the most fun I've ever had. And in fact, he did that to me. I mean, for years, I kept thinking if I trained for another 6 months, I'd take him. It was like, damn it.
Oh, gosh. So when did you stop fighting?
My last full contact fight was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. So I'm 66 now. So I think I was 62 in my last fight. And,
Oh wow, that's incredible! Wow, you in your 60s, man.
yeah, and I ended up having some stomach surgery and thing, and I just haven't really. I've kind of gotten out of a lot of stuff. Recovering from that, it's taken a lot longer. And then, like anything else, it's kind of a habit. And then getting old, knees and shoulders just aren't what they used to be. But now my last fight, I think, was at the Canadian beat the crap out of cancer with Rene Kokolo. I don't know if you know him, but yeah.
I've definitely heard about that. Beat the crap out of cancer. I remember hearing about that event.
Yeah, we had a great double stick fight with big sticks. It was a lot of fun.
Wow, jeez. So man, but still, I mean, 62. That's man. I mean, most people don't. I mean, that's wow.
I don't think of myself as being that old.
No. But I mean, just the fact that that you still fought.
Yeah.
What I mean? I think Juan Galinas, he's still right. I mean,
Yeah. Philip's my age, so yeah, I think he still gets together. And Eric, I don't know if he's fighting now, but he's been fighting now right up until the last few years, if not still.
Eric, yeah, wow. I guess if it's in you, it's in you. Wow.
Yeah, you keep thinking I can't give it up, and for years, I mean, back when I was in my 30s, and Eric and I'd sit there and talk. He was like, "Well, in a couple years when we retire," and it just never seemed to happen.
Yeah, then you're going to your 40s, and you're on your 50s.
Actually, I think I ended up. I think all my best fights were probably in my mid 40s, almost up into the 50s. Those were when I felt like I was kind of at my peak.
Maybe because you think maybe due to maturity and comfortability what you're doing.
I think having done it and being comfortable with it, and then that was before body started deteriorating. Still pretty strong and in decent shape and stuff. And I think you get smarter over time, and that helps as you get older.
Yeah, right. You're making, I guess, maybe like you're better decision making while you're fighting.
Yeah, I mean, early on when you were fighting, you're just kind of reacting, and as the years went on, and it took a lot of fights to get to where you sort of, I won't say you choreographed the fight because it was never that structured, but in your mind, you'd had enough fights that you were comfortable no matter what happened. And I think that's a hard point to get to. And I think that's one of the things with stick fighting is because of the adrenaline and the violence and all that, it's hard to get comfortable. And until you get comfortable fighting, it's hard to get good, to get really good, like the level of Eric. Eric was completely comfortable no matter what. I mean, you never saw him feel like, he was at a loss or didn't know what to do, or, you never saw that in him. He was always just like, it was second nature to him to fight. And it was a great thing to learn from him, that, you just focus your mind. You don't see the other. Somebody asked, how can you fight somebody that hard and then still be friends at the end? And it's easy. As soon as you start to fight, he's your opponent. He's a problem to deal with. He's not your friend. He's something you have to deal with, a problem, an opponent, however you want to look at it. And that's how you go through the fight. If you can get to that point, instead of kind of making it personal or, whatever, then your fights start really bumping up. That's when I noticed mine really, when I got to that point where I could just kind of see the fight as a fight, and not as something that either to prove myself or whatever, and just
Right.
enjoy the fight for the fight. Then things just started really bumping up for me.
Wow. Wow. Jeez. So then, like, when was the last gathering, like in California, I guess, that you've gone to?
It was a while back. It was probably mid to late '90s was the last gathering I did. Uh,
Oh, okay. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
Okay.
No, I'd started a business at the time and kind of got out of it. But Eric and I'd still get together, and then had a few students that we'd fight. But I spent about 10, 12 years that I didn't fight at all.
Okay. Okay. Wow. Wow.
Yeah, and then I
Jeez.
got
Yeah.
then I
No.
got back with another group, and they wanted to train for the stick fighting, so it kind of got me back into it again. And,
Oh, so you trained them. I got you.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Right. Right. So you have students that actually go there then, and involve.
Used to. Not so much anymore. There were some issues, and but I had a
Yeah.
few that went out there a couple times and did well, I think. So,
No, I know. I bet they did. Yeah. Yeah. We gotta. Did a lot of people take things too personally or too far? This is a question from Alvin, I guess, at the gatherings. So too personal or too far?
as far as
I guess within the matches.
I don't know because I haven't watched a lot of the ones anymore. We always like when Eric and I fought. I fought everything I possibly could, 110, 120%. It was everything I could possibly put out, and I expected the same thing from him. But I also expected that, we sort of took care of each other. Does that make sense? Um,
Sure. Sure. Yeah.
you went absolutely as hard as you can. I was there to rip his head off, and um, but I don't know quite how to put it. You get a sense. It goes back to that same thing. You get a sense of where your other opponent is. And if somebody leaves their head open, I'm not going to rip their head off. I'll find, some other way to let them know that was a mistake. Um, Somebody like Eric, I would try to rip his head off because I
Yeah.
knew that was, I knew it was within his comfort zone for me to do that. And,
Right.
but then when you fight people that weren't quite up to that level, I think there's people, I don't know if they feel like they have to prove something, but I've seen some people really beat the
Mm.
crap out of people that, it just didn't need to happen.
Yeah. That's what I mean. Like if you know you're better than the person, you know what I mean. Like exactly. It's like I mean like you know. I think there's comes a point where you can kind of control it if you know that you're better than them without trying to hurt them. Like I don't get
Yep.
that. You know what I mean? I don't
Yeah,
understand
and I
that.
think people kind of forget that. And I know part of it is as things get bigger, you get a more varied group and you're not quite as close knit. And I'm not saying the Dog Brothers isn't close knit anymore, but it's very different than when you had the same sort of core group of 30 or 40 people and fought all the time. And
Mm.
it was just a different kind of vibe.
Yeah, yeah. There's gonna be more mutual respect because everybody knows each other and they know each other's levels and they know they're not gonna. Whereas you get some people from over there that don't know each other or they're trying to establish themselves or prove
Yeah, and I think
themselves.
that's still pretty much a rarity in the whole thing. I mean, just sort of the way everything's structured. You can't do that very often and still end up being part of Dog Brothers. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Because
Well,
it's just
good.
kind of frowned on, but still, I think there's just a different thing um, from the early days, just because it was just so few of us at that time.
Right. So you guys were. I mean, no, you guys were close knit. Right.
Yeah,
Right. Right.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No, definitely. Definitely.
yeah. You fight
So
like
then,
Eric and I. I don't know how many times we fought, but over the years, I bet we fought hundreds of times, and you just kind of get to know somebody.
jeez.
Mm.
So, so from your we kind of we were gonna. I know we got there, but we wanted to touch back on it. Was Lameco, your time with Edgar, like what really stood out about him? Like you hear different things, his non-tell, his power. Like I'm a student. I don't. Are you familiar with David Gould?
No, I'm not.
Oh, okay. Well, he was a direct student of Edgar,
Oh, uh-huh.
and
Oh,
and
I might then, yeah. Um,
yeah, and
oh, the
um,
thing about Edgar was he could train, and I think this is kind of a rarity in martial arts in general, but he could train 10 people. And when they went to fight, none of them thought the same. Which I think is rare. People teach what they know and the techniques that work for them. And I do that too. I teach the things that work for me. But that doesn't always work for, a 100-pound person or somebody that's in a different situation. And Edgar was able to take, I think the example I like to use was he trained Mark to fight me and me to fight Mark, and didn't teach either one of us the same things, really.
Wow. Okay.
But he
Yeah.
could look
Wow.
at somebody and go, okay, this is how you fight. This is what I'll add to make you a better fighter. And since we had very
Right.
different styles, I think he was able to look at, and I saw him do that with other people too, that he would look at what they had and add to the kind of fighter they were, as opposed to trying to change them into a fighter like he was.
Right.
But yeah, we had a lot of fun when he, the weekend he passed away. He was supposed to come to Santa Fe, and he had called before and said he had a chance to go to the Philippines and flew, and that's when he died over there. But I'd just gotten back from Thailand, and we were comparing notes on stuff, and there was some stuff that was taught in Krabi Krabong that the moves were identical to moves in Lameko.
How fascinating.
Yeah,
Wow.
so we were going to kind of do a little thing where we could compare, okay, this is what I saw, this is what he saw, where was the base for this? Because obviously the base for that particular move had to have gone back as martial arts spread out of Asia. And so it was kind of neat. I've always regretted we getting a chance to do that.
Yeah. So did you train with him privately?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, he'd come to Santa Fe. I trained with him when I'd go to California, but he'd come to Santa Fe every year and spend a week out here. And we had a little guest house, so he'd stay over there, and then we'd train.
Did you enjoy the compo, or were you getting more KI?
I don't really kind of know how to explain where it all kind of came from, other than when you're with Edgar. The only thing you got to kind of do is when you're doing knife drills, if you see that look in his eye, you got to remind him you're a student and not somebody he's going to take out. But yeah, but his movement, when you see him, he was short and he was a little overweight and he just didn't look like he was in shape. He could do a short strike where he barely moved his hand with as much power as I could do a full hit.
It's right here. No, my teachers, like, they would put the forearm guards, the leg of guards. He said you could put two on, and you would feel.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Two forearm guards.
Yeah, his transfer of power. I never quite. I worked it, because I could get good power, but mine was all just strength and big swings and stuff. His was just, literally, he could hold the stick and pop, and maybe move his hand 3 or 4 inches and hit you hard enough to just lay you out.
How do you do that?
I have no idea, and I always wanted to know.
I know, but I keep hearing the same thing. The power he could generate from the smallest movements, I hear, was just uncanny.
Yeah. He was pretty amazing. He was pretty amazing. I miss him.
Wow. I know. Oh my gosh. Now, so did you do a lot of knife with him? Yeah.
Yeah, we did knife, but basically at that time, everything I did was sort of predicated on stick fighting. So the Krabi Krabong stuff, I did the Krabi Krabong, and I took the stuff from Krabi Krabong. This was before I kind of got really full into Krabi Krabong. I was looking for things like the kicks. How do you implement kicks in a stick fight? So I wasn't looking to learn a new system. I was looking to find things that added to my ability to fight. And Edgar understood that. So we'd go through all the Lameko stuff, but then he'd spend time going, okay, if you're fighting this kind of person, this is what you want to look for, and got in pretty esoteric little details of watching fighters, because he had a real sense of people that fought well with sticks.
Man, moving around him must have been incredible, huh? Jeez.
Yeah, he was a great guy.
Yeah, what a shame, huh? Way too young. Too young.
Yep.
Jeez. When he passed, did you continue your Lameko training with anybody else?
No, not really. same thing. I'd sort of taken the things that Edgar showed me and I teach them, but I didn't really add much from anybody else that was teaching.
Yeah, jeez, too bad. And wow, yeah, I know. Just way too young. You went. I mean, jeez. So what are your future plans and goals? I mean, now that we're getting out of this COVID situation. I mean,
Oh, we've got a little core group here where we've got 5 or 6 people, and we get together on Sundays and do our stuff. And then I've had some people talk about kind of getting back to training again. I've got an old friend that just came in. We're going to start going back to doing the Krabi Krabong again. And so we'll kind of see how it all pans out. I keep telling myself, give me a year, I'll be back fighting again.
Jimmy, oh my gosh, you're gonna come out of retirement. Yeah.
Yeah, we're gonna have to have an old folks
Oh my God, that'd be too funny.
class.
Yeah, senior
Yeah,
citizen
the senior
division.
citizens fight.
You have to be over a certain age. You have to be injured. You have to be,
Yeah. Uh,
I do kind of know. This is I was kind of saving this for the end because it's about this question's from Francesca, and what she's asking is basically something regarding Buddhism in the Institute of Thailand, the current state of it, and she was wondering if you maybe knew. I guess.
I haven't been keeping up. I know, with the new king and stuff, and there's been a lot of stuff going on over there. I just kind of stayed out of that side of it. We were there doing the martial arts stuff, and you weren't too involved in it. And I haven't really kept up that much, although I'd love to go back one of these days and check it out. So I don't really have much of an answer for that.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, I'll tell her, hey, we tried. um, yeah. So, all right. So, you're not really involved. I mean, you're kind of low key. I mean, do you see what goes on in the community overall at all, or FMA
What's that?
community? You're kind of low key. Do you see what goes on in the FMA community overall? Or?
Oh, a little bit. I mean, I kind of just keep up with the people that I kind of like to watch and follow and see what they're doing. And, I'll look up Chad Bailey, Chad.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, he used to train way in Santa Fe way back. So when he comes to town, we'll kind of get together and do his seminars and that kind of thing. And
yeah.
Other than that, I just kind of retired for a while, and then when I got back, I basically just teach. And then we're working on getting this the Krabi Krabong Association going, and I think that's probably going to end up kind of being the next venue as far as teaching and getting things out.
Wow. So now, when you did association, like how many of you are there?
Oh, there's I'm not sure how many we're up to all together, but we've got a hold of all the guys that attended Bon Aswan, including some of the guys in Thailand, and got our association going, and so we're working on expanding that. But yeah, we've got quite a few people in it now. So,
so is this also going to be offering teaching, like those who want to pursue it and everything?
Yeah, we've got a whole thing. We've got the ranking and setting up seminars and training and all that stuff. So yeah, it's the North American Krabi Krabong Association, North American Budai Swan Krabi Krabong Association.
Yeah, and like how many besides yourself, who else is teaching in the States?
Oh, there's several people. Jason Webster, Ajahn Jason Webster, Ajahn Stephen Wilson, Loki up in Canada, Pat Gagnon. There's several people that teach.
Okay, I've heard it. Okay, I've heard that. Okay.
Yeah.
But it can't be. I mean, not a real lot though. I mean, it's still
no. There's not a lot yet. Well, we're hoping for more in the future.
No, yeah, it looks fascinating. I hope it works out for you guys. It's something I've always been fascinated with it. There's just nobody around the Northeast.
Yeah, and actually, Pat's up there, so he's in Vermont.
Vermont, Pat.
Yeah.
What's his last name?
Gagnon, Gagnon.
All right, okay, Vermont. That's not that bad. Okay.
Yeah, Pat's great.
Yeah, because I've always been fascinated with it. I just didn't know anybody that was around.
Yeah, and that's kind of been the problem. Even when I was looking for stuff, it took me a couple of years to find anybody that taught before I ran into Jason, and because I'd heard about it, but I couldn't find anybody to teach. And even after coming back after I graduated from the school in '97, there was only like 3 or 4 people in the country that did it, much less heard about it. So, but I
Mm,
think it's more people kind of know what it is now and are getting a little more interest. I think once this COVID stuff passes and we get back
yeah.
into, we're going to start pushing the seminars and training, and like I say, now that we have an organization that can kind of promote everything instead of all of us kind of wandering off on our own little deal, I think it'll be a good deal.
I hope it does because I think if you guys collectively do that, you guys could really start spreading it. I think that would be, fantastic. You know what I
That's the
mean?
plan.
Yeah, I think you would get a lot of people interested in that, and especially and it sounds like you had some good people running it and all that. Will you be? You think you'll make any more trips to Thailand?
Oh,
For
I'd like to. I want to take my wife one of these days and just kind of go back and see some of the guys that are still over there. My instructor's grandsons are teaching over there, so I'd love to go meet them and train with them, and
yeah,
it'd be fun.
yeah, you can start hitting the Thai pads. Oh,
Yeah, only if they hold them on the ground.
we got. Oh, Chad. Chad's got a question. When can I get you another one of my camps to be a guest teacher?
Just let me know.
Yeah. All right, Chad, you heard it. Just
Yeah,
let
we
me
had a lot of
know.
fun when he came out. We did my socks when he came out. It was fun.
Okay. Yeah, if you're coming there, because that's an incentive for me to go to Florida. Oh, yeah. Um, well, this has been absolutely wonderful. I hope we didn't take up too much of your time.
No, it
Um,
was fun. It was fun.
I
I
really
don't do I don't
appreciate
do too many
you.
things like this, so it's kind of fun to do it.
Oh, I'm just so honored you came on. I was just wondering, because I know you're kind of low key. I'm like, yeah, I don't know if he's going to do it. Maybe he's going to tell me no.
Nah, it was a blast. I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Fun, fun.
Yeah, no, you deserve to be heard from. Are you kidding me? I think you have such a wonderful background. I love the eclectic stuff like that you don't hear much about and all that. And I
No,
really
I've
hope you think.
actually
Yeah.
been looking. There's a martial arts style from India called gut cut, and I was exposed to it in my very first martial arts class, and
Ah.
uh, and then kind of missed it. But there's several people that practice it around here. There's a big Sikh population here in Santa Fe, and I've always wanted to go back and learn some Gutka just to add
No
something new.
kidding. Yeah,
So I don't
mine's.
I don't think I'm done learning yet.
Yeah, I'm not either. I'm kind of fan of Bondo, like the Burmese.
Oh yeah, yeah. I worked
Yeah,
with
that's.
Dr. G for a while.
Oh, have you?
Yeah,
Oh, I find that so interesting. I don't know much about it, but just what I've seen of it,
yeah,
it looks. Did
yeah.
you
He was
enjoy
good.
it?
Yeah, I didn't do a lot. We did some seminars and he worked with Eric and Mark and I a couple times. Mark and he were very good friends at the time. So
Mm.
yeah, he was going to Danny's school occasionally, so we'd get together and yeah, I enjoyed the stuff he showed. He was a
Yeah,
funny
I
guy.
know. It looks just really neat. You know what I mean? But again, not a ton of people around. As far as that teach it, whatever. As far as the states go, I think there's maybe like one or
I haven't
two
run
that.
into anybody that did Bondo in years, so
That's what I mean. You know what I mean? Yeah, but it's something I'd like to before I get too broken down.
hey, just as long as you keep learning, you keep going.
Yeah, yeah, you have to. I think you have to. Like, if you want to just keep it stimulated and all that, I think you have to.
Yep,
Yeah, you know
absolutely.
what I mean? Yeah, I'm definitely not ready to hang it up completely. No, no, definitely not. Let me just see. Chad says he will be in touch
Okay.
to get you down
Uh,
to Florida.
there you go.
Yeah, where it will be 100 degrees. No,
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
but all right, sir. Thank you. Tell your
Oh, it was
wife.
fun. I enjoyed it. Thank you.
Yeah, no, tell your wife thank you that we borrowed you for an hour and a half.
There you go. All right.
You take care of yourself.
Okay, you too. Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
Bye bye. All right, man, that was a great one. You know, you find out new stuff and all that. What an interesting guy. What a just down to earth guy too. It'd be fun to meet him one day. Chad, get him there. I'll make the flight down. But yeah, so gotta be do some editing on that one, unfortunately. But hey, it was worth it. Thursday, Julius will be doing part 2 with Bayette. So I'm not sure on the time, but I Julius knows. I want to say it's going to be more on the earlier side, I think, but Julius will have the answer to that. Yeah, thank you guys for all coming in there. Yeah, the Edgar stories, man, I can never get enough of those. But at any rate, yeah, thank you all those who watched, tuned in. Again, I got to do some editing on this before it gets downloaded or when it's getting downloaded and all that. So yeah, check out 147. That'll be Thursday with Julius, part 2 with Bayette. And next after that, I think Sunday there's something going on. I'll have to double check though and all that. But all right though, thank you all that watched, and until next time.